Hey guys, welcome back to another garage upgrade video. So a couple weeks ago, I was surfing around on Costco and I saw this cabinet set for 350 bucks that I couldn't pass up. It was the 8-piece set from Torin, and I had been eyeing the 9-piece set from Torin for a long time. The 9-piece set was the bigger one that had cabinets on both sides. The 8-piece set is probably like 3/4 of that size. For 350 bucks versus the 600 bucks for the 9-piece set, those are both sale prices. I couldn't pass it up for, almost half the price. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbox it, we're gonna see what's inside, and then we're gonna figure out how to install it in my garage. So stay tuned. So I got this baby from Costco for like 350 bucks on sale, which was a good deal because this thing's usually $500. I really wanted that bigger set, but I figured this one's the next best thing. Plus, I really just get one less cabinet on the side over here. That other set, people had a lot of complaints about it being bent when they delivered it. This is kind of like that NewAge cabinet set that I always see on my Facebook feed. I think I looked on their website once and now I always see it every time I go on Facebook. If we look at the dimensions on this thing, it's basically 90 inches wide, 75 inches tall, and about 46 to 47 inches deep. So this is perfect for my little corner. I think anything longer than this probably won't fit back there. This thing has a net weight of 265 pounds. I don't know why it has a gross weight of 362 pounds. I don't imagine being 100 pounds of packaging material in here, but we'll see what's inside right now when we open it up. You can see I initially tried to move this thing with my own dolly. It wouldn't budge. I was able to get the dolly under there with some wedges, but it didn't move from there. We're just gonna have to disassemble it here, move the pieces over their corner where we're gonna assemble it at. Hey boys, looks like I found out where that 100 pounds comes from. It's this board right here. It's actually a big piece of wood that's protecting this thing, especially the corner. I think there's another big piece of wood at the bottom there holding it together, and then lots of wood in between here to kind of protect everything. So that's where they got the 100 pounds extra in here from the net weight versus the gross weight. Man, it's crazy how well they nested everything into here with all this packaging. I got most of it out. All I have left is the sides now. That cabinet right there, which is the bottom of the counter. I got the wood part right there. Now that I've got everything out, I can pretty much take the sides off, put them back in the corner, and start assembling it using all the parts and pieces and the instructions. Over here was mostly like the doors, the back panel, and some of the other panels. And then you saw me take the other cabinets out over there, so we got those off. Man, I'm very impressed by the quality and packaging on this. Nothing is damaged. Everything came out nicely. This is actually the bottom of the cabinet. They made it all ready for you. You can see right there, they got the holes right down here for the threaded feet that you put in. You got all the whole shelves and everything. You got the holes on the side in case you have to screw it to the wall or to the pieces on the side, like the over cabinets and everything. This one is gonna be on the bottom, so it's got the hole so you can stack the other one on top and put in probably the floor, so you can separate the top and the bottom cabinets. So before we get started and putting the cabinets over here, I'm gonna go ahead and just put a GFI outlet right here so I can actually have power near my workstation. The problem with my garage is it originally only came with this one GFI outlet over here, and I don't really like extension cords and all that stuff. Luckily, on the back side of this wall is my closet, and I have an outlet up there, so I can put one right about here. I think there's like a stud that goes across here that I can't go below, so I'll have it a little bit higher. In the garage, I think it's supposed to be like 42 inches above the ground because of the water and whatever else that the code is for the garage. On one of my other videos, if you haven't seen it, I put in that mini split right there. If you haven't seen it, check out the link above here. But I ended up adding an outlet on this wall over here because I had a GFI on the other side, so I cut a hole, I ran the wire up, and I ran 4 new outlets right there. I also did it over here right below my electrical panel. I added some outlets right there for my freezer and anything else on this side. And when I was cutting my closet over here, I added that outlet on that wall also. So if you haven't seen my video on cutting the hole for this closet in here, go ahead and check out one of my recent videos where I show you how to cut that. So the first thing I had to do was determine where I was on the relationship from one side of the wall to the other, and also to know where the columns are on this wall. So this wall actually has 16-inch studs because I put this shelf in and I found all the studs, so I already have it basically marked where my shelf screws are, so I know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the stud with a vertical stud here and see where that's at. So I'll use my stud finder. So it kind of went red right here. So it looks like right about here. So it's about right here is where the stud is. So it's pretty high. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this using my oscillating tool with the box cutter. If you don't have one of these, go down to Harbor Freight or check out Amazon for one of these. It makes quick work of cutting these gang boxes, and this oscillating tool is like 40 bucks on Amazon. So got most of it out. I'm gonna use a razor to cut the rest of it so I don't make so much dust. So here's what came of it out there. Half of it broke off, and the back piece, which is mostly paper, broke off, and then all this dust right here. That's the only problem with using this tool. It's really quick, but it oscillates a lot of dust. We'll see, look, we're pretty close to a stud over there. And then at the bottom here, oh man, so there isn't a stud here. Get one of my wands here. Man, there isn't a stud there. So what the hell was did I cut this hole for no reason? Yeah, I think I could go lower. Dang, all this time I thought there was a stud here because I was hitting something, or I was getting a reading with the stud finder, but it looks like a joint where the compound is or where the mudding is, but that's about it. Maybe I'll try cutting one down here now and then just patch that one up. I'll put the GFI up here and I'll run another outlet down here and just have it as a load and a line where the GFI operates both of them like the way my dual gangs are working. So here we're on the back side of this wall in the closet, and this is actually the outlet that I'm gonna be tapping. I'm gonna go ahead and take this out, fish my wire through. It looks like two other circuits tap off of this guy right now. But since we have a pretty deep box, we should have room, and I have two more taps here on the side that I can tap into. I need to just fish some wire through, but for now, I might just tape this up and then fish the wire through, then do the tap last. So I ended up taping some electrical tape here just so I wouldn't short anything out. I'm just kind of working hot right now. Fishing that Romex through was a pain in the ass, so I ended up just pushing my rod through the top. I'm gonna go ahead and just tie my Romex to here and then pull it back through. The only reason why it's been so hard because of the insulation in there. It's been dragging and getting in the way of pulling that Romex through. These rods have been the best tool ever for all my pulling wire in this house. This is only like 15 bucks, but it's paid for itself many times over doing this wiring crap. Yeah, that fished through pretty quickly right there. We'll go on the other side and see how it went through. So yeah, that pulled through pretty easily once I got it in. And I pulled it right through that hole, and we're inside now. I'm gonna leave it here for now. I'm gonna go ahead and make all the wiring connections on the outside, and then we'll make this final connection to the rest of the circuit last, so that way we don't short anything out. So we'll end up putting all these old work boxes in. What we want to do is you always want to run your wires through and fish them through before you put these in, because it's a pain in the ass to try to get these compression clips back here in. So what we're going to do is just pop these in, fish the wire through, and then we're going to run another wire downward. Decided to put the GFI up here because once we put that cabinet right here, it's going to be blocking this spot right here, so I want to be able to reach up here if I trip a GFI. We went ahead and made all the connections from the top down to the bottom here. We're gonna go ahead and leave this for now. I'm gonna make the connections inside, make sure everything works, that nothing trips, and then we'll go close this up afterwards. So I ended up making these connections on the side here on both sides. We got everything nice and tucked in. Now I gotta push everything back into this extra large box. Luckily they used the bigger boxes for my house, so I have plenty of room in there for all this wiring. I had so many wires in here, I decided to put electrical tape around the edges of this thing to cover up the contacts and the bolts on the side. If you're an electrician who actually does this, leave a comment down below. I know this is something that's not necessarily required but recommended to do for all outlets, but I don't think I've ever seen any electrician use electrical tape to seal around those nuts. Let's test to make sure everything works. So we'll hit the GFI and it looks like it works perfectly fine. This one down here, we'll plug something in, make sure it works. Oscillating tool here, we'll just go ahead and plug that into here. Turn on the oscillating tool. Close it up and we'll go ahead and start putting the cabinets and everything in. One last note for this one, I made sure to put the GFI protected outlet sticker on here so anyone in the future knows that this is protected by a GFI. Up here you don't have to worry because this is already a GFI. One other thing is make sure all your screws have turned vertical. Nothing says amateur work like those screws not being straight one way or the other. I get my contractors all the time for doing stuff like that. So I got all the parts over here kind of mocked up a little bit. I put that rack on top of the other one just to see how high it sat. So right now it's perfect. It barely clears my little arms up there for my shelves, but that's okay because right now it's raised up a little bit. If you really wanted to, you could just wall mount these straight to the wall using screws and some washers to get it nice and tight. I don't know what the distance is between these holes. I haven't measured them, but they don't look like they're 16 inches or even 24 inches. So you might have to drill your own holes if you ever wanted to mount them straight to the wall without the legs. The only problem is trying to mount that guy and the rest of the parts to the wall without the legs. That would be the problem because the end table there that goes over there needs the legs because it goes to the ground. So it's kind of hard to do the floating cabinets like TJ Hunt did in his garage. So one of the things I noticed I messed up on is I really should have mocked this up before I cut these holes and put these things in. So now my issue is that I'm going to be blocking both of them because of where this pegboard is going to be. So I might end up just mounting it to the wall, figure out where it lines up with the outlets and maybe just trim out between some of these squares and get a hole in there just for my plug because eventually I'm going to need a plug anyways when I'm working on my bench right here. Same with the top there. The top is actually going to be blocked by these cabinets over here. So what I'm going to have to do is inside these, I thought these cabinets might have had a hole or something in the back, but they don't. So what we're going to have to do is maybe once we mock it up and figure out where that lands, we'll end up just cutting a hole with a drill maul just to get that to line up with that GFI up there, and that way we'll have a hidden outlet for that in case we need to charge stuff inside that cabinet. So we pretty much got everything assembled, all the handles and everything ready to go. I decided to pull an audible and relocate those outlets where I needed them. So the top one I relocated it up there above the thing so I could actually get to it. This one I'm gonna relocate right here over the side a little bit because what I decided to do was move this cabinet to the inside corner here and then put the table and everything on the other side. That way I reverse it from the way the picture is on here. I ended up having to patch these up and paint them, and you can kind of see it in the photo as the paint is still waiting to dry. So that's going to be behind the counter, so that won't be visible. That's why I didn't really do the texture as nicely as I should have, but that's good enough. If later on if I have to redo that or if I have to move this, I'll just fix the texture and repaint it. So over here I had the stud behind here, so I was able to screw that straight into the stud and it was fine. Over here I tried to use that anchor. I just wanted to use an anchor to see if it worked, but it didn't. So I had to just drill a hole right here 16 inches apart so I could get an actual screw in here into the stud so this thing holds. This anchor was garbage. It didn't hold because there's a gap due to the molding I have down there. So I don't have this thing flush to the wall like some people might if you don't have that molding. Got everything bolted to the wall. I ended up putting 2 more bolts right here. I just drilled some holes to go right into the stud just to make sure that this thing never comes apart, since I'm using drywalls on that side. This side I didn't need it because I was able to hit the stud on this side. I was only using the drywall anchors on that side. Plus I'm mounted to the cabinet here, so I'm not as concerned on this side. This side is, even though it's mounted to this cabinet, I still wanted to make sure that it didn't rip off the wall. So other than that, I'm gonna put the doors all back together. I'm gonna put these brackets all onto here, and we'll go make sure everything is nice and tucked up, and then we'll end up putting some tools and some stuff here. I'm just gonna clean up and dust everything, and this will be done. To finish off the bench and the work area, I got these stools right here from Costco also. They were like 2-pack for $100 or something like that on Costco, which was the cheapest option I found versus stuff that you get from like Harbor Freight or any of these other tool places. So these should be pretty comfortable. They spin around. You've got the pump right here that adjusts it up and down. So you got plenty of room there. The only thing it doesn't have is wheels at the bottom, but I don't think I need wheels because I want to be pretty much stationary and nice and planted when I'm working on the bench right here. Hey guys, thanks for tuning all the way to the end of this garage update video. I know I've been in this house for about 5 months now, and a lot of my content lately has been really just house upgrades and garage and shop upgrades, but this is just another piece of the puzzle. I want to get this shop all set up so I have all my stuff all ready to go, so when I start doing car content and my other IS300, IS250 content, that I have everything in place to do the work. Just bear with me. We're gonna keep on doing these little garage and house upgrades periodically, and then we'll get back into the car content eventually. Remember, with all these different projects I do, if I can do it, you guys can do it too. That's why I record all these videos, to kind of show you guys how easy it is to do these upgrades yourself, that you don't really need to hire people to do this stuff if you're good with some tools and just put a little bit of time into it. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed to your channel, go ahead and subscribe to your channel. Stay on top of all my different videos and my different projects. And I want to thank you guys for always watching my videos, and I'll talk to you guys next time.